After my mom's nanny got promoted, Lucas wanted me to be his contract girlfriend too, for the money. I put up with it. But he got more and more out of line, even sharing our photos with his friends. He joked that I was just as hot as my mom and that I only had my looks to win people over. Is Lucas into her too? Lucas just laughed dismissively, saying it was just a test, nothing serious. When it comes to finding a girlfriend, you should go for someone pure like Emily. I clenched my fists but didn't push open the door to the private room. I had originally planned to say goodbye and end this relationship peacefully. Now, it seems there's no point in continuing. Anyway, we'll never see each other again in this lifetime. I've always known Lucas doesn't feel anything for me. My mom wants to take her relationship with his dad to the next level. So she had a huge argument with Lucas's father and moved out. I couldn't sneak over to comfort him anymore. After finishing my homework late at night, I sent him a message, "Are you okay?" He quickly sent back a photo. There were over a dozen bottles of alcohol on the table, with several people lying around. I recognized two of them. They were his close friends from outside. Those two saw him as someone willing to spend money, and he was more than happy to hang out with them. A bitter taste filled my heart. I knew Lucas had become this way largely because of my mother. Come over now. I won't let your mother make things difficult for you. Lucas, there's an exam tomorrow. It's better to come back early and rest, he called, his tone sounding annoyed. Sophia, don't I have a home anymore? My home was taken over by your mother's pigeon and you. You little brat, where am I supposed to go? It was clear he was drunk, I asked helplessly. Where is the address? When I arrived outside the bar, someone stopped me to check my ID. And I felt embarrassed, so I stepped aside and called Lucas, but he didn't answer. There were many drunk people at the bar entrance, and I could feel many eyes staring at me, making me feel uncomfortable. After waiting for nearly half an hour, I finally received Lucas's call. Sophia, where are you? I'm waiting for you outside. He sneered and said, Are you kidding? There's no one outside my house. Didn't you tell me to wait for you at the bar? I don't remember. I'm going home now. Come over. Which house are you going back to? He didn't answer and hung up. I had no choice but to check his social media. There were too many locations marked there. I searched the streets for a long time before finally finding an apartment address near the school. This must be the place. I rubbed my numb calves and realized it was already 2 a.m. Drunkards were appearing one after another on the bar street. I wrapped my coat tightly around me, walked with my head down, and almost collided with someone. Little sister, want some candy? Big brother has lollipops. I can give you one, he said while unbuttoning his pants, scaring me into stepping back quickly. With all my strength, I shouted, Don't come over here. The man continued to tease me, but I dared not turn around and ran out as fast as I could. At this time of night, I was afraid of getting into an unlicensed taxi, but I was also afraid of encountering strange people outside. So I decided to ride a shared bicycle to the apartment, even though it started raining halfway there. I didn't dare to stop. It was late at night, raining, and I was the only one riding a bicycle. Finally, I arrived at Lucas's old apartment, but I was stopped by the security guard at the door. Please help me, sir. I'm looking for my friend. He's drunk. Please contact the owner to get the access code so you can swipe your card to enter the elevator. I called Lucas's phone, but it said the phone was turned off. I thought maybe he was asleep, so I dragged my tired body home. I accidentally opened his WeChat moments and saw a post he had made just a minute ago. The location was still at the bar, and in the photo, he was smiling happily and carefree. The caption read, I'm especially happy today because I teased a silly dog. At that moment, I realized he had been toying with me. He had vented all his anger on me. I was just a silly dog he could summon and discard at will. My jacket was soaked and clinging to my body, making me shiver with cold. I returned home in a disheveled state, dared to make too much noise, and went straight to my room without even taking a shower. As a result, I developed a fever and couldn't take the mock exam the next day. I thought my mom would scold me for not doing well, since she had always criticized me even for minor mistakes in the past. But this time, she merely brushed it off, saying, If you can't get in, it's no big deal. Anyway, your father Lucas said he'll arrange for you to study abroad later. I sighed deeply and turned away, unwilling to speak. This wasn't what I wanted, but it was my mother's lifelong aspiration. She didn't let me off the hook. Don't blame me for being so strict with you before. Think about me. If you can't even beat Lucas, that would be a disgrace to me. Every day without the certificate? I felt uneasy. She seemed so happy, which is why she kept chatting with me. She never shared her feelings with me before. I knew deep down that I was just a tool she was using. I pulled the blanket over me and said in a helpless tone, "I want to sleep, Mom." She finally left. Tears soaked the pillow. Under the same roof, does she really have no idea about my struggles? Today, I finally realized that she actually knows. She knows everything, but chooses to pretend she doesn't. The first time someone at school used super glue to stick my hair, she shouted at me, "Why didn't you go find someone else? Why did you choose me? Don't you think about your own reasons? Because Lucas doesn't like me, so the people around him also secretly have issues with me." Lucas didn't hate me at first. It was because he hated her that he came to hate me even more. Actually, Lucas is a very warm person. When I first came here, he taught me how to use those complicated electronic devices and how to ride a bicycle. At that time, he even let me call him Big Brother, and I was his little sidekick. When exactly did things start to change? It was probably when he saw my mom coming out of his dad's room. The guilt I'd been feeling for years finally became a burden that weighed me down. I wanted to make up for my mistake and tell him that I'm different from my mom, but I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing. It's not something I can just fix by following someone else's advice. After I got better, I went back to class and found that my seat had been moved to the back row. Seats in the class were assigned based on grades, and since I had skipped the exam, I ended up last. The homeroom teacher came over to talk to me seriously, hoping I wouldn't get distracted, but it didn't work. I didn't understand what it meant. The homeroom teacher then pulled out a love letter. The handwriting was mine, but I didn't write it. The recipient was Lucas. The homeroom teacher looked at Sophia seriously and said, "Sophia, you have so much potential. You skipped such an important exam. As someone who's been there, I want to tell you that you'll meet many outstanding people in the future, and they'll be waiting for you at the pinnacle of success. I don't want you to give up on yourself now and regret it later." I had nothing to say and could only listen quietly. Just as I was leaving the office with my exam papers, I bumped into someone. Lucas smiled casually and said, "Hey, even the good students got punished." I didn't go to him and walked past him calmly. He grabbed my hand and said, "Sophia, I heard you wrote a love letter to me." "No, you must have misunderstood." After that night, I knew Lucas would never forgive me. Why would I go back to him? Besides, I would never write a love letter to him. Even if there had been some feelings in the past, they had been suppressed. It must have been one of the girls who liked him playing a trick. He's so smart, I don't believe he didn't notice. Lucas pinched my ear and played with it gently. "Next month is your birthday. I've prepared a gift for you." My heart tightened and I looked at him quietly. "Lucas, stop torturing yourself. Let me go. I don't want any gifts. I just hope he doesn't come up with new ways to make me suffer." Lucas's expression turned cold. He grabbed my hair and said, "Sophia, you owe me. You'll have to pay me back for the rest of your life." I felt a sharp pain on my scalp and couldn't say anything. Over the next month, aside from a few girls who had a crush on Lucas, occasionally causing trouble for me, Lucas and I didn't have any conflicts. My mom went out with Lucas's dad on business, so Lucas stayed at the apartment, leaving me alone in the villa. So I used every spare moment to study, hoping to get out of here as soon as possible through the college entrance exams. On my birthday, it happened to be the day after the second mock exam. One of Lucas's henchmen walked into my classroom and casually said, "Sophia, wild guy wants you to go eat at the commercial district." I suddenly remembered that he had mentioned giving me a gift earlier. Judging by his usual style, it probably wouldn't be anything good. I followed him slowly, keeping my head down to avoid others' glances. Such attention-seeking behavior would only make people dislike me. The private room was crowded, and I didn't recognize most of the people there, including Lucas's friends from his social circle. The smell of smoke was overwhelming, making me wrinkle my nose. When I walked in, he extinguished his cigarette, raised his chin, and said, "Come here." I was wearing my school uniform, feeling completely out of place in this environment. Lucas smiled broadly, handed me the iPad, and said, "Pick anything. My dad gave me a lot of money this month." "Do you know why?" I put down the iPad and said seriously, "Lucas, can we stop wasting time?" I thought his smile faded instantly. He leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Sophia, thanks to your mom, my dad only uses money to handle our affairs now." Those words made me feel uneasy. It was my mother's fault. I lowered my head and didn't say anything. He lit another cigarette and ordered his own food. It was supposed to be a celebration for my birthday, but they just used it as an excuse to gather. I didn't have much of an appetite and ate a few bites. While they were drinking, I decided to leave. Lucas grabbed my hand and asked, "Where are you going?" "To the restroom." "I'll go with you?" He noticed I was trying to leave and insisted on accompanying me to the restroom. "Lucas, please stop." He suddenly pushed me into a stall and locked the door. The smell of alcohol was overwhelming. "Sophia, your mom tried to steal my dad. So it's only fair that I do this to your daughter, right?" I tried to stay calm. "What are you doing?" "I'm sick of you always acting so calm, Sophia. I just want to see you cry." I couldn't stop crying. I cried until I couldn't cry anymore. In a place where he couldn't see me, locked in the bathroom, drenched in cold water, forced to kneel before the girl he liked. Reality made me realize a truth. Crying serves no purpose. No one will appear like a deity to save you. The only one who can save you is yourself. His gaze grew cold, and he grabbed my chin, biting down hard. The pain made me push him away. "Lucas, don't do this, calm down." "Crazy? If I were really crazy, you wouldn't be here. You should be grateful that I'm patiently waiting to satisfy you." He gave me a half-joking look, then leaned close to my ear and said something. I felt freezing cold and washed my face with cold water several times. The gift he gave me was a contract. As a businessman, he had a natural talent for controlling others. If I didn't agree to his demands, he would expose my mother's affairs and even have her arrested for fraud. After returning home, I couldn't eat or sleep properly. Lucas's agreement was simple, with only 3 clauses. For this, he was willing to give me $50,000. I considered it and eventually signed the agreement. Anyway, its validity period was only 3 months, at most until the end of summer vacation. He should get bored soon. I needed the money. My mother chose her own life and I should pursue mine. The guilt I felt vanished along with the agreement. For a moment, I felt dazed, thinking that if Lucas kept his word and got the money, I could finally break free from him and leave my mother. The next day, I went to Lucas's class and handed him the signed agreement. He was delighted and said to come over to his place that evening. "They'll be back today. If I'm not home, Sophia, you have to listen to me after signing." I took a deep breath and said, "All right." As I turned around, I heard his friend teasing him. "Lucas is really impressive. He managed to handle the top student so quickly." I'm truly impressed. It was just a bet after all. I finally exhaled in relief. This means he grew tired of me faster than I thought. It was already 10:30 p.m. after evening self-study. I mustered up the courage to call my mom. A friend invited me to her house to help with homework. "I won't be coming home tonight." "Where are you? Is it far?" "I can have the driver take you there. Mom prepared a lot of gifts for you. It's not far from here, just near the school." There was a few seconds of silence. "Is it a boy or a girl?" "A female classmate. Be careful." "Okay." After hanging up, it started raining outside. I didn't bring an umbrella and was about to rush out of the building. Just then, a black umbrella opened above my head. I turned around and saw that it was Lucas. My heart skipped a beat. It reminded me of a rainy day when I was 11, when my mom took me to Lucas's house. Back then, he came to pick me up with an umbrella, his long eyelashes trembling slightly. "Are you here to play with me?" I quietly replied, yes. My mother, on the surface, was a high-class nanny responsible for helping him with his studies, but in reality, she was also a psychotherapist who brought me along to learn. Supposedly, because Lucas's father said Lucas needed a playmate. We had had some pleasant times together before. He wasn't a bad person and was quite kind. Perhaps it was really because of my mother's behavior later on that he became like this. I lowered my head and quietly said, "Thank you." He chuckled and said, "Sophia, get your facts straight, you're here to serve Mio." I quietly took the umbrella. The handle was heavy, and with my backpack on my back, I could only hold it with both hands. He was so tall that I felt a bit tired. The night was quiet, and neither of us spoke. The only sound was the rain hitting the umbrella. It sounded like a racing heartbeat. He suddenly stopped, took the handle, and said in a slightly annoyed tone, "You can't even do something this simple, I'm sorry." I apologized instinctively. But he sped up, and I had to almost run to keep up, so when he stopped, I didn't notice and bumped into him. Lucas immediately stepped back and said, "Sophia, do you like throwing yourself at me?" I was taken aback and quickly explained, "No, you were walking too fast." He coldly replied, "You can go on ahead." With that, he turned and left without looking back, leaving my school uniform soaked in the rain. Fortunately, it was summer, so I wouldn't catch a cold. Lucas was waiting for me at the entrance of the residential area, a cigarette dangling from his lips. I hurried over, panting, and asked him, "Did you call me here to help you with your homework?" The results of the second mock exam were out, and I ranked 10th in my grade, successfully moving back to the second row. Lucas's name didn't seem to appear on the honor roll. "Why did you ask me to help you with your homework?" His words were sharp and his mood was low. He pulled me into his apartment. His place was surprisingly tidy. There was a pair of women's slippers by the door. I saw them but dared not wear them, fearing they belonged to his friend. I stood at the door, unsure what to do. Lucas turned around and asked Sophia, "Do you still want me to help you put on your shoes?" I cautiously asked, "Are these your friend's clothes? Would it be inappropriate for me to wear them?" Lucas seemed even angrier after hearing this. "Just wear them if you want to." With no other choice, I had to walk in barefoot. "Can I use the restroom?" At that moment, Lucas suddenly grabbed my hand and pulled me into his arms, his strong scent overwhelming me. My tension had nowhere to hide. I was worried he might do something else. So I clutched his clothes tightly. "Sophia, you're an adult now." Those words carried a lot of meaning. I felt my face grow hot. When I looked down, I realized my white school uniform was soaked through, and I could faintly see my pink underwear. Lucas's voice was low. "Aren't you supposed to help me with my homework? Come over after you're done?" He threw me one of his t-shirts, which was quite large. I could wear it as a dress. The tutoring we had planned didn't happen. He just kissed me. To be precise, it was a one-sided kiss. I didn't have time to breathe and even bit his tongue. Finally, Lucas's face turned red and he let go of me. "That's enough for tonight. We have school tomorrow." I jumped off the bed, ran to the next room, locked the door, and prepared to sleep. As long as he didn't go too far, I decided not to take the initiative. In reality, I never intended to stick to the 3-month plan. He seemed to be focusing on his studies as well, only occasionally inviting me out for dinner. He didn't go to bars or hang out with other young people anymore. Of course, he still took every opportunity to kiss me. I think he was doing it to relieve stress. He made significant progress on the third mock exam, and I heard his father had transferred more money to him. I remained steadily in 10th place. The homeroom teacher asked me where I wanted to go to school, but I didn't tell him the truth. Lucas asked me to go abroad with him and help me apply to several schools. He said I should stay with him until he felt I was qualified. I just smiled and didn't say much. Soon, the college entrance exams were over, and Lucas said he wanted to celebrate with me. I didn't think much of it until he took me to a hotel. As soon as we walked in, he moved closer to me, and the air started to feel hot and humid. I noticed he was different today. He had always been domineering and fierce before, but today he seemed more patient, though not very noticeable. He also asked me to help him with some things. He hugged me from behind, standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, and said, "Sophia, I've prepared fireworks, so you have to give me your most precious thing." I suddenly realized, in his eyes, I was just prey. Every step he had taken before was for that moment of pleasure. So that's what he meant by delayed gratification. I wrapped my arms around his neck. Once he got it, he'd find it boring. If that's the case, I'll make him think it's all meaningless. A fleeting, unusual expression flashed in his eyes before he quickly hugged me. The wind blew fiercely, completely covering my mouth. I couldn't even enjoy the beautiful fireworks outside. That night, Lucas was particularly excited, like a wild beast. I couldn't take it anymore and fainted. The next day, I received his transfer, a full 500,000 yuan, enough for me to go to college. From that day on, Lucas and I became very close. He didn't let me go home but made me stay in his apartment so he could find me anytime. He seemed in a good mood, even agreeing when my mom suggested we all eat together as a family. At the dinner table, he didn't say anything unkind to my mom. Instead, he praised her, saying, "Aunt Sophia raised a good daughter. She's just like you." My mom was very happy and served him some food. It was okra, which he hated the most, but he ate it without even frowning. Lucas's dad was very happy and asked me about college applications. My mom hurriedly said that according to Sophia's estimated scores, she should be able to get into a good university. However, old Zhu, I want her to study abroad for a better education. Lucas's father smiled and nodded in agreement. Coincidentally, Lucas was also planning to go, so the two of them could go together and look out for each other. Lucas held my hand and played with it under the table, saying, "Dad's idea is the same as mine." Sophia's IELTS score is only zero point 0.5 points lower than mine, so she should be able to apply to the same university as me. As long as the two of you get along well. Lucas suddenly squeezed my thigh, making me tense up. I quickly turned to look at him. The mocking look in his eyes made me feel very uncomfortable. I realized that all the intimacy we'd shared recently was just a facade. I had to break up with him and end this unhealthy relationship completely. Lucas got his motorcycle license and started getting into riding motorcycles. In his social media posts, the backseat of his motorcycle was often filled with various beautiful women. From school beauties to models, there was a bit of everything. I felt a sense of relief. He finally stopped bothering me. I rarely went out, spending most of my time at home quietly researching college applications. To avoid any trouble from him, I submitted my application at the last possible moment. I wanted to go north, far away from this place and everyone here. Before receiving the admission notice, Lucas didn't contact me at all. He was busy taking his driver's license exam and participating in racing competitions. After the scores were released, I knew I had been admitted. I stayed home every day, too nervous to go out, waiting anxiously for the admission letter. In August, the weather was unbearably hot, and I finally received the letter I had been waiting for. Lucas seemed to suddenly remember me and called me. "Sophia, come to the Unley Club. Let's have dinner together tonight." I realized that our agreement seemed to be coming to an end. All right, let's resolve this. Let's put an end to this matter. I arrived at the club early and noticed the door to the private room wasn't properly closed. The people inside were chatting happily. Wow, Wild Brother is so impressive. I never expected the top student to have such a great figure. Yeah, you can't tell it all with those baggy school uniforms. Lucas didn't say anything. He just put his phone away. That's when I realized he might have recorded a video and shared it with others. I felt both ashamed and humiliated. My legs felt heavy and I couldn't move. Lucas teased, "She's just like her mother, using these tricks to attract others." Was Yiji also attracted to her? Lucas sneered, "It's fine to be the first to make a move, but if you want a girlfriend, you need someone pure like Emily." Emily was the school beauty and the girl who appeared most frequently in his WeChat moments lately. I suddenly felt much lighter. This way, he could let me go. "Wild Brother, I heard you've been with that top student for almost 3 months. Why haven't you broken up yet?" Lucas said casually, "I invited you here today just to show you how I handle her." I clenched my fists, so he had been waiting for me here. Actually, I had planned to come here to say goodbye properly. But now, it seems unnecessary. Our brief period of peace was probably just wishful thinking on my part. Since that's the case, I can't blame myself for leaving secretly. I've already booked a flight for tomorrow morning. I'll never see him again in this lifetime. The moment I boarded the plane, I felt a lot lighter. It felt like starting over. I was happy and relaxed. This was the first time I had felt this light since I entered Lucas's home at the age of 11. I wrote a letter to my mother, hoping she was doing well. After reading the letter, she probably wouldn't think of me anymore. The phone card had been canceled, and I immediately got a new one after arriving in North City. Before school started, I rented a single room and worked part-time at a cafe to support myself. After school started, I joined a club and made many new friends. The shadows of the past are slowly fading away, and life has become much easier. Only my homeroom teacher knows about my decision to choose my major. I asked her to keep it a secret, saying I wanted to leave my biological family. She remained silent for a few seconds before agreeing. I am very grateful to her, so I occasionally send her some local specialties. Medical school is very busy, and I often have to stay up late studying. Every day is busy, but fulfilling. Many classmates and seniors expressed their feelings toward me, but I turned them all down. Influenced by my mother, I had no expectations for love and was even somewhat resistant to marriage. Rather than that, I preferred to focus on my own life and do something more meaningful. 3 years passed, and I never called my mother once, nor did she reach out to me. However, I did stay in touch with my father. He came to visit me in the city and treated me to a meal. He was wearing thick glasses and didn't say much, and I didn't know what to talk about either. Finally, he said, "Sophia, your father is proud of you." At that moment, I finally felt a warmth of being acknowledged. "Dad, thank you. Thank you for helping me realize that my efforts are meaningful." The clinical medicine program I'm in is an 8-year integrated undergraduate and graduate program. In the second semester of my 5th year, I will begin my internship at the hospital. This internship allowed me to meet someone I shouldn't have met. I'm interning in the ophthalmology department, where I can observe surgeries and accompany teachers to outpatient clinics. On my third day of outpatient duty, I was recording medical records when I suddenly heard a familiar voice. Doctor, my eyes have been feeling tired lately, and I keep seeing small black spots. Although the voice was much louder, I still recognized it as Lucas. Luckily, I was facing away from him. Except for typing a bit slower, I should look fine. It might be floaters. Come here, I'll show you how to check. I clenched my fists, then relaxed them. Over the past 5 years, both of us have changed a lot. If I don't speak, maybe he won't even recognize me. I quickly put on a mask and gloves and sat next to my mentor. Lucas's gaze was fixed on my face, and I deliberately avoided looking at him. Eye detection was unavoidable when the mentor pressed down on his lower eyelid. He made eye contact with me. In that moment, my heart raced and I felt a bit nervous, as if he could see right through me. No, he wouldn't recognize me. I changed my hairstyle and became more confident. But the next second, he spoke up. Doctor, can she examine me? The instructor paused, immediately noticing something was off. Do you two know each other? Lucas's lips tightened slightly before curving into a smile. Yes, she's my sister. He recognized me, or rather, he had known it all along. But even so, we weren't related anymore, so I didn't need to be afraid. Teacher, let me try. While being examined in front of him, I noticed the dark circles under his eyes. He was dressed formally, with his hair neatly combed, probably already at work. The instructor looked at the results and said, "We might need to do a dilated eye exam. Are you here alone? Your vision will be blurry after dilation." He stared at me and said, "Yes, I've always been alone for many years." I didn't know why, but I felt a sense of oppression. His words had a peculiar meaning. "Zio Song, can you keep an eye on your brother for a bit? He's the last patient." The mentor understood my situation, so I had no choice but to agree. While waiting for the dilation, Lucas and I sat on chairs outside the examination room. He suddenly grabbed my hand and said, "Sophia, why are you ignoring me?" I pulled my hand away and said, "You're overthinking it?" I wasn't avoiding anyone. His gaze was a bit unfocused, but he managed to grab my hand again. "Why did you leave? Why didn't you even contact your mother? You're just avoiding me, aren't you?" I was confused by his questions and pulled my hand back again. "Lucas, I told my mom that I don't want to live according to her expectations anymore. I want to live my own life, and you have your own life too, Sophia. Do you even have a heart? What did you think I was to you when we were together?" Hearing his words, I felt a bit confused. It was he who had toyed with me and even drawn up an agreement. Now, hearing him speak like this, it seemed as though I was the one who had abandoned him. Though he seemed a bit regretful, he still reached out to hold my hand. I stood up and took a step back. "Who are you with now? Is it that class monitor from your class? His family background isn't great. Do you think he's suitable? Or is it that guy from the class next door who's been chasing you? He doesn't seem like much either. Don't mention it, Lucas. Who I'm with is none of your business." His lips trembled slightly as he spoke, as if suppressing his anger. But actually, I should be the one who's angry. I took a deep breath and told myself that after this checkup, I would have nothing to do with him anymore. "The checkup is in 20 minutes. Stay here and don't wander off." "Where are you going?" "I'm busy with work. I still have to write a report and review for tonight's study session. I don't have time to hang out with him. The dilated eye exam is being done by the professor. I'll be taking notes beside him." "Zio Song, you can go home after you drop off your brother. You've been working hard these past few days." "All right, thank you." "Professor," when we walked Lucas downstairs, neither of us said a word. He couldn't see me clearly, and I didn't want to acknowledge him until we reached the lobby. He stopped and asked, "Sophia, who were you with?" "It's none of your business." "Do you really think I was with you out of genuine feelings? Don't be ridiculous." "Lucas, it was just a game you designed, and I played along for the money. Don't tell me you can't handle it. 5 years have passed, and I've become much stronger." I no longer feel afraid when facing him. He quietly stared in the direction I was looking. I knew he couldn't see clearly because his pupils hadn't fully recovered. But his gaze made me feel tense. "Can you call the driver for me?" He handed me his phone, and the lock screen wallpaper was a photo of me in my high school uniform. I quickly changed the wallpaper and called the driver for him. By chance, I noticed that the top contact on his phone was Sophia. Out of curiosity, I tapped it and found that it was my current phone number. "How did he get it?" Filled with confusion, I suppressed my emotions and deleted his number before returning the phone to him. The call went through. "You can tell him it's the South Gate. Please help me get him to the car. I can't see clearly." His tone had returned to normal, without any sarcasm or accusations. I sighed in relief and followed him, keeping a distance of a few steps. "Slow down, there's a step," I reminded him too late, and he stumbled. I rushed to grab his arm, but he suddenly pulled me into his embrace. He held me tightly and I couldn't break free. "Lucas, let go of me. This is a hospital, don't move, let me hold you for a while longer." His tone was pleading, which surprised me. This wasn't the Lucas I knew. He had always been the confident, arrogant young master. "What's going on today, Lucas? Let go of me?" "If you don't let go, I'll call for help." He let go, straightened his clothes and said calmly, "Sophia, your mother and my father have divorced." I was shaken and hurriedly asked, "What did you do, Lucas? You're in your 20s? Don't act so impulsively." He said with a hint of sarcasm, "In your eyes, do I look like a madman?" What else could I say? "Don't you think about how your mother treated me? If she didn't want something to happen to me, why would my father divorce her, the perfect wife and mother?" I felt uneasy inside. How could my mom do such a thing? She's always wanted to be a wealthy wife. She'd never go after Lucas, a rich man. "Lucas, you promised me you wouldn't hurt her." He smiled, turned to look at me and said, "Sophia, how could you think I'd be abandoned by you and still get along with your mom?" I was furious and slapped him hard across the face. People around us turned to look. His skin was pale, and there were clear fingerprints on his face. If this had been before, he would have roughly grabbed my hair and pressed me against the wall to bully me. But at that moment, he remained unmoved, simply staring at me quietly. That gaze made me feel uneasy. The car stopped beside him, and the driver opened the door for him. He got into the car, rolled down the window, and said, "Sophia, our business isn't finished yet." A sense of helplessness washed over me. Those last words brought me back to reality. He hadn't changed at all. He was still the same self-important little master. I never thought that, with Lucas's father's help, he would come up with a way to deal with my mother. After changing out of my white coat, I returned to the dormitory. Exercise cleared my head. Back in the dormitory, I dialed a number I hadn't called in a long time. Fortunately, the number was still active. "Mom, how have you been lately? This kid finally called. You only contact your father. Why don't you contact me?" "Who raised you? I'm sorry, since you brought it up, I won't hold it against you anymore. How are you adjusting to life there? Do you have enough money?" My eyes stung a little. She didn't mention the divorce. Although her tone was still sharp, she was actually concerned about me. The relationship between us has always been a bit tense, and we haven't really opened up to each other. I don't really know how to talk to her, and she doesn't really know how to talk to me either. "Mom, did you get divorced?" She didn't say anything. I tried again. "Do you have enough money? I've saved some." "Do you want me to send it to you, Sophia? Do you know why I want to get divorced?" "I don't know. Since I wrote that letter and left Lucas's house, she hasn't contacted me once. Even if she asked the homeroom teacher or my dad, she could have found my contact information. But she didn't respond immediately. After a while, she finally spoke up and said, 'I know Lucas forced you to be his mistress.' I couldn't hold back anymore and had someone teach him a lesson. He deliberately notified his dad, making me witness everything, and forced me to divorce. So they divorced right after I started college." I gripped my phone tightly and asked, "Mom, why didn't you tell me sooner? What's the point of telling you? An unreliable person isn't worth taking a risk for. Your mother wants to live a good life, but I'll never sacrifice my daughter's future." She sounded a bit emotional. I opened my mouth to say something but didn't know what to say. She continued, "Actually, divorce isn't that bad. He was pretty generous and gave me a lot of money. I've opened a bookstore now, and I can come back to visit sometimes." All right. Sometimes I feel like parents aren't necessarily the closest people in the world. They bring you into this world, but they don't teach you how to navigate it. After hanging up, I lay in bed, Lucas's face flashing through my mind. Over the years, he's grown into a mature man. I kept mulling over his final words in my head. Our business isn't over yet. Actually, our relationship had already ended the year we graduated. In the days that followed, I didn't see Lucas again. I continued shuttling between school and the hospital. The daughter of my homeroom teacher called me. "Sophia, my mom is sick. Can you come back to visit her?" I felt a pang of worry. The girl's voice on the phone was choked with tears. And my heart tightened. After taking a leave of absence, I booked a flight back home. 5 years later, stepping back onto familiar soil, everything felt different. Mr. Chen, I'm truly sorry it took me so long to come back and visit you. I handed him the peeled apple. In the crowded hospital room, besides me, there were a few other classmates. Don't say that, I understand your difficulties. She turned to look at me and asked Daniel, are you still pursuing your graduate studies? Yes, Mr. Chen. Daniel was our class monitor. He had once had hopes of attending Harvard or Yale, but due to poor performance on the college entrance exam, he ended up going to New York. Mtks Chen's smile was a bit forced. She waved at me and whispered, Sophia, Daniel likes you. I hid the love letter he gave you. You won't be angry with me, will you? Of course not. We've only exchanged a few words. Daniel was the class monitor and the top student in the class. He seems cold and rarely talks to girls, especially disliking being teased. I turned to look at Daniel and caught his gaze. He scratched his nose and asked, what did Mr. Chen say to you? Mr. Chen held my hand and said, go ahead, I want to rest. I won't meddle in your young people's affairs. After saying goodbye to my classmates outside the hospital, I decided to visit my mother's bookstore. At that moment, Daniel called out to me, Sophia, let's grab a coffee. I didn't refuse. How have you been these past few years? I heard you haven't been in touch with anyone. I thought you and Lucas had gone abroad. I looked down at the beautiful latte art in my coffee cup and thought of a question. What do you think my relationship with Lucas is? Daniel paused for a moment. I remembered that everyone had been saying that we were dating. He was thinking about how to respond, and I smiled. I think those rumors might not be that simple. Class monitor, we've already ended things. I don't want to bring it up again. This coffee is on me. He grabbed my wrist. Sophia, I used to like you. Actually? I still like you. Do you want to give it a try? His tone was a bit urgent. Before I could answer, someone pulled him back. It seems I came at the wrong time. I didn't expect our Sophia to be so popular. That poor kid thought he could turn his life around by getting into graduate school? He's really overthinking things. You're not even worth a strand of her hair. Lucas' words were harsh, and Daniel's expression turned ugly. Enough, Lucas? What do you want? I broke free from his grip and said to Daniel. I'm sorry, class monitor. I don't know him. Don't mind him. Daniel forced a smile. I didn't expect you two to still be together. I shook my head. No, we're not together. My mother was married to his father before, but they've already divorced. A flash of joy crossed Daniel's eyes. Oh, I see. Before Daniel could finish speaking, Lucas lunged at me like a wild beast and dragged me away. His strength was overwhelming, and his grip on my wrist was painful. He barely had to exert any effort to shove me into the backseat. His kiss was intense, leaving me no chance to breathe. In anger, I bit him hard. The taste of blood spread instantly. Taking advantage of his moment of relaxation, I slapped him hard across the face. He didn't dodge, just stared at me coldly, his tone indifferent. Sophia, I let you be free for too long. I paused for a moment. What do you mean by that? His fingers gently traced my cheek, saying, when you left silently back then, you should have known this day would come, this time. I won't let you leave. Don't even think about it. I struggled desperately, but he didn't seem to care. Tears streamed down my face as I clenched my teeth and shouted, Lucas, you're being too much. I hate you. He suddenly stopped what he was doing, his eyes filled with an emotion I couldn't understand. He asked, do you hate me? I nodded without hesitation. Of course, I was deeply dissatisfied. I was angry at what he had done to me. I hated him for bullying me when I needed help the most. I despised him for giving me an opportunity I couldn't refuse when I wanted to leave my mother the most. But this also marked the beginning of my nightmare. I thought I could easily forget everything he had done to me. But sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, his terrifying smile flashes through my mind, saying I was just his practice target. All the pain I've endured over the years. Am I supposed to just endure it later? I met an older sister studying psychology, who helped me gradually emerge from those shadows. She said I had post-traumatic stress disorder, and as long as I stayed away from that person and started a new life, I could recover. But that troublesome person reappeared. Just when I was about to forget those unpleasant memories, he showed up again. The car was silent, with only the sound of breathing. Lucas's voice was low. Sophia, can you please stop hating me? I straightened my clothes and said, then don't ever show up in front of me again. His fingers turned white, as if he was trying to hold something back. Sophia, I love you. I'm not a teenager anymore. I won't be moved by such a confession. No, Lucas, you don't love me. You're just used to controlling me. When I'm no longer under your control, your possessiveness comes out, but that's not love. I thought calmly and gently tried to open the car door, but it wouldn't budge. He didn't answer directly, just gently touched my face. What about you? You really like that boy named Daniel? I had mentioned this to him before the college entrance exam, but I never expected him to give up. I never expected him to threaten Daniel. No wonder he didn't do well on the college entrance exam, and suddenly came to ask about my relationship with Lucas. Anger replaced calmness, and he said, "Yes, I like him. At least he's an optimistic and upward-looking person. What do you have? You're just relying on your father's money to enjoy an easy life. Aren't you?" His eyes flashed with a cold light. I almost thought he was going to hit me, but he just unlocked the car door and shouted angrily, "Get out." I ran several hundred meters to make sure he wasn't chasing me before calling Daniel. "Sophia, I'm so sorry, Daniel. I'm really sorry," I stammered, not knowing where to begin. His life almost changed because of me. It also made me realize that these past few years, which seemed peaceful on the surface, were actually filled with hidden turmoil. Lucas, that guy, I wonder what kind of schemes he's cooking up. Sophia, don't apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. Feeling a bit sad, I hung up the phone and returned to my mom's bookstore in a daze. It turned out that this place wasn't just a bookstore, they also served coffee, making it a great spot to relax. She was busy making coffee at the counter. When she saw me come in, she paused for a moment before efficiently calling out, "Bring the coffee to table number 1. I didn't call her mom once, but she started assigning tasks right away. For some reason, this made me feel unexpectedly at ease. By evening, the customers had left. My mom closed the shop early and asked me, "What would you like to eat?" I replied, "Anything is fine," she said. "Then I'll go home and make you some dumplings, okay?" What surprised me was that there were signs that a man had lived there. My mom didn't hide it. "I have a boyfriend who comes over occasionally." "Do you mind?" I shook my head. I've never wanted to interfere in her life. She put the groceries in the kitchen, and I sat on the couch feeling a bit uneasy. There was a bouquet of flowers on the table. She's always been someone who enjoys life. I wanted to ask her where the bathroom was. But I heard soft sobs coming from the kitchen. She was crying. I had seen her break down before, and I had seen her get angry and yell at people, and I had seen her go out of her way to please others. But I had never seen her cry. She always tried her best not to let others see her cry, silently holding back her tears. I felt at a loss and called out softly, "Mom." She turned her back to me, quickly wiped her face, then turned to look at me and asked, "What's wrong?" I gathered my courage, walked over, hugged her, and said, "I'm sorry, Mom." The crying that had just stopped now seemed to burst out like a dam breaking. "It's Mom who's sorry to you. I was wrong. Before dinner?" She talked to me a lot. Although she deliberately avoided contact with Lucas, I knew about her divorce from Lucas's father, and Lucas was one of the reasons. "Sophia, you'd better stay away from Lucas. He's not a good person." I nodded. She seemed to want to confirm something and said, "Promise me you'll never have anything to do with him again." I felt my mother was a bit tense, but she told me a cruel truth. "After you left without a word, Lucas deliberately showed me the agreement you signed and kept provoking me until I finally had someone beat him up. But he was actually putting on a show for your father. I thought he just disliked me, but then I overheard him tell your father in the study that he wanted you." I was so shocked I couldn't speak. "It's impossible?" He had clearly said he wanted a pure girlfriend like Emily and only saw me as a temporary toy. How could he say such a thing? I also think it's impossible, but do you know what? He still keeps that blood-stained bedsheet and has asked me about you more than once. Mom doesn't contact you because she's afraid he'll find you. I felt suffocated. I think he has issues. Dependency is a mental illness, and if he doesn't want to seek treatment, it'll be hard for him to fully recover. Are you saying he likes me? My mom nodded. This is ridiculous. The abuser depends on the victim but mistakenly thinks it's love. I'm going back to North City tomorrow. Mom, I might never come back. My mom held my hand and said, "Sophia, can Mom come visit you?" She was being careful. I knew she was still blaming herself. I nodded gently and said, "Let's do it when I'm on vacation. I'm too busy during the week and don't have time." My mom's tears welled up and she hugged me tightly. Okay, this was the first time I had slept with my mom. It was clear she was trying to find topics to talk about, hoping to get closer to me and make up for the past. I had already forgiven her. After all, she was also a first-time mother, and it wasn't too late for her to understand these things at 40-something. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to resist going to the balcony, where I found the bank account number Lucas had transferred money to me from. I transferred back the 50,000 he had given me. Over the years, the scholarships and money I had earned from part-time jobs were enough to support my life. I no longer needed that 50,000. I stubbornly believed that this would end our relationship. Lucas got drunk again. It seemed like the only way he could fall asleep, the only way he could dream of Sophia calling him Yetenderly. He never imagined that those 2 months of indulgence would become the only comfort he had in the past 5 years. Someone next door couldn't stand it anymore and said to Lucas, "Brother Yi, Emily has liked you for so many years. Just agree to her." I just called her. Lucas was lost in his own thoughts and didn't hear a word the person next to him said, until he returned to his hotel room and felt a soft figure snuggle up behind him. The faint scent of flowers drifted over, and Lucas pushed the person beside him to the ground. He had drunk too much and couldn't see who the woman was. But he was certain it wasn't Sophia. Sophia never wore perfume. She only smelled of milk body wash. "Lucas, you were the one who said you liked me. I only rejected you once. Now I've been chasing you for 5 years. Why won't you agree to me?" Emily cried like a fallen flower, accusing Lucas of not understanding romance. Lucas's expression grew dark, and he impatiently undid his tie, coldly saying, "Get out." Emily was kicked by him, wincing in pain, and angrily asked, "Lucas, are you crazy? You treat people like dogs. And now you want to act all deep and emotional. I'll tell you this. Sophia will never like you. Back then, everyone bullied her, and you just let them. You were hurting her too." Anger flashed in Lucas's eyes, and he threw the person out of the room. His head ached terribly, and he could only lie in bed to rest. He couldn't tell if it was a dream or a memory. Sophia held her head high and said without hesitation, "Lucas, I hate you." How could she possibly hate herself? Lucas felt suffocated, almost unable to breathe. He had searched for Sophia for so long, finally found her, and made up a suitable reason to meet her. Why couldn't he give himself a chance? He could also be the gentle person she had always imagined. He had always been good at pretending. Actually, he had hated her at first, but he didn't know when he had started to care about her a little. He didn't dare to say it out loud. He only knew that he hadn't seen Sophia that night, so he didn't think much of it and continued drinking and chatting with his friends. It wasn't until the next morning, when he woke up with a hangover, that he discovered Sophia's phone number had been changed. In that moment, he rushed back to the villa like a madman. There was no trace of her left. She had erased every trace of her existence, and the basement was restored to its original state. Only a faint scent of shower gel lingered in the air, making him almost think he had been dreaming. He checked the surveillance footage and saw that Sophia had left after hearing what he said. He felt a strange sense of relief. Did this mean Sophia cared about him too? As it turned out, it didn't. Sophia had vanished completely to avoid this place, and even her mother had no idea what had happened. Lucas felt as though his heart had been ripped out. He destroyed everything he had prepared for Sophia, feeling bitter and thinking that since she had abandoned him, he would punish her. But as time passed, he realized that he was the only one who cared about this relationship. He had hidden his feelings so well that no one knew he loved Sophia. Not even his father knew about it, and he still lamented at family gatherings that it was a shame Sophia couldn't go abroad with him. On the surface, he maintained a polite smile. But that night, he went to find the woman with the agreement and a blood-stained sheet. He tried to provoke her to find a weakness. But to his surprise, even her mother wouldn't reveal Sophia's whereabouts, which enraged Lucas. He used some means to force them to divorce. Later, he knelt in the study with a cane and said, "Dad, I want her. I want Sophia." After being severely punished, he was sent abroad. Over the years, he learned to endure. As he had said before, the longer one waits, the deeper the longing becomes. He wanted Sophia to understand that his love for her had only grown stronger, even though he had never done anything himself. At this point, she was always on his mind. He missed her deeply. He hoped she could rely on him and become the person she had always wanted him to be. But he had made a mistake. She had even said she hated herself for that not very wealthy young man. Lucas clenched his teeth, thinking that next time he saw him, he wouldn't care about her feelings anymore. He wanted to possess her completely. Just then, a text message interrupted Lucas's thoughts. Sophia had transferred 500,000 yuan. With the note repayment, Lucas smashed his phone in anger, his eyes filled with rage. He recalled how, in his impulsive youth, He had kept the forged love letters others had written to him, and even went to great lengths to obtain the yearbook entry Sophia had written for someone else. She had always preferred gentle men. He had never been that kind of person. So he silently vowed to himself, Sophia, I'll give you another chance. Once I become a better person, I'll come find you. After all, he was best at pretending. After returning to North City, I switched to a new SIM card and only told my close friends. As for Lucas, he wasn't on my radar. If you have issues, see a doctor. Don't come looking for me. Life became routine, and Lucas seemed to have vanished entirely, never resurfacing. I felt relaxed and at ease on one hand. I rotated through shifts at the hospital, and on the other, I continued to write my thesis diligently, determining the direction of my future research. Time slipped away quietly amidst the busyness. I saw Lucas again at an academic conference. I was a volunteer, and he was speaking on behalf of his company. His voice was deep and magnetic. When he mentioned focusing on medical research in the future, his gaze seemed to occasionally glance in my direction. I put my souvenir bag away and told the student next to me that I was going to the restroom. This summit was hosted by our school and invited many professors. I had originally planned to come to learn something. I didn't expect to run into Lucas. I waited in the restroom for a while, thinking he should be almost finished speaking. But when I came out, I ran into him. Sophia, let's talk. He looked a bit different, and his eyes no longer carried the same aggressiveness as before. I have nothing to say to you about that. The project you applied for is one I'm investing in, and my requirement is that you work with me in the future. Lucas, I just submitted my application yesterday, and I don't plan to continue participating in this project, but I appreciate your efforts in medical research. I said some formal-sounding words and quietly took a step back. He stood there, not saying a word. Mr. Lucas, we may never see each other again. Sophia, why are you sentencing me to death? I also want a chance to reform. Why won't you give me that chance? Because we're simply not the same kind of people. Perhaps I was moved at some point, but that was just a mistake I made when I was young. Let's just live our own lives from now on. He took a step back, his body trembling slightly. I walked away without looking back. The entanglement between us has already consumed over a decade. How many more decades are there in a lifetime? Look forward. The future lies in our own hands. I applied to be an exchange student abroad and will depart after my hospital internship ends. Even if Lucas is powerful, he can't possibly track me down everywhere. Half a year later, I flew abroad on my own. My father's research finally made significant progress. He received a grant and signed a strategic cooperation agreement with a company. Sophia, do you have enough money for living expenses? I'll transfer some to you. It's enough. My mom already gave me some. Then take good care of yourself abroad. Yes, I will. Cutting-edge medical research is a big topic. During my internship at the hospital, I realized that I prefer research, so going abroad to study is a good choice. Every day is busy, and sometimes I get criticized by my advisor, but I've made new friends and found a boyfriend. Life is actually pretty simple, but as medical students, we have a lot in common. Sometimes we argue over experimental data, but most of the time, we're just like any other couple. Making time for dates. Lucas hasn't been in my life for a long time. One day, my mom sent me a tweet. Lucas announced that he had established a fund dedicated to supporting basic medical research. During a media interview, he looked happy and composed. A reporter asked him why he was investing so much money. He said, "This is the dream my beloved has always wanted, and I'm willing to make it happen for her. I hope one day she'll look back and see that I've been working hard to change myself. I only sent my mom 4 words. Don't worry about it," she called and said, "I heard your dad's research is also funded by him." I didn't expect him to be so persistent. I immediately responded, "Mom, they didn't mention anyone. How did you guess it was me? You're a psychology major. Give me a professional explanation." She smiled and changed the subject. "Shouldn't you bring your boyfriend home for the new year?" I looked at my boyfriend, who was engrossed in his book, and replied, "It's still early. Our relationship isn't that close yet." Just as I finished speaking, my boyfriend glanced at me. I felt a pang of guilt and turned away, continuing the conversation with my mother. The sky outside the window was so beautiful it was hard to believe. At that moment, my boyfriend suddenly embraced me from behind and said, "Sophia, I want to take you home to meet my parents." His embrace was as warm as winter sunlight. In that instant, I felt a sudden sense of relief. I realized that life should be in my own hands. Whether it was Lucas or Daniel, they were just people who had briefly appeared in my life. The future was still long, and I wanted to write my life story in the most beautiful way possible. That evening, I received an email. Attached was a share transfer agreement with simple contents. Sophia, if you are willing to come back, Lucas's wife's position will always be yours. All my property will also belong to you. The email was unsigned, but I knew it was from Lucas. However, who he chose to be his wife had nothing to do with me. I didn't open the attachment, deleted it immediately, and blocked the sender. Then I called my boyfriend and asked, Dennis, how about we visit your uncle and aunt this weekend? Sure, my parents will definitely love you. The weather was nice today, and my life was about to begin a new chapter.